Officials with PennDOT urging people to stay off the roads if they can today. The storm's so severe that they have actually closed down Interstates 90 and 86 in Erie County right now. We caught up with Safety Press Officer Saxon Doherty to talk about PennDOT's response to this ongoing winter storm.
Here with Saxon Doherty from PennDOT, and we're kind of talking about the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation's response to the wintry weather that we are still actively experiencing right now. How are you doing today, Saxon?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me.
So, what was PennDOT's plan before the weather hit?
Well, with pretty much any winter event, we just closely monitor the weather forecast and the active conditions, and we make sure that we've got all of our trucks up and running, and we have a stock of materials, both salt and brine, and we just kind of react accordingly to make sure that we can keep our roadways safe and passable for the traveling public.
Can you talk about real quick the difference between the salt and the brine on what it does for the roadway?
Sure. So salt is PennDOT's primary tool when we're out trying to do anti-icing operations, but at times, depending on the roadway temperatures and other precipitation types that we're getting, we can use brine, which is just a mixture of salt and water, a specific combination of the two, that we can pre-wet the roads with sometimes, or we can pre-wet salt with. So again, it's all very much based on the type of storm that we're getting, but salt tends to be our primary tool to fight against the icing of the road.
And so you talked about what PennDOT's plans were ahead of the snow, but now that the snow is here, how does that work? What do you guys do?
So right now, obviously we're seeing pretty persistent bands of heavy snowfall, especially along the Interstate 90. So we have some vehicle restrictions that we've put in place, a Tier 4, which restricts all commercial vehicles, both empty and loaded, from being on that roadway, just again for their own safety. And that also comes with a 45-mile-per-hour speed limit. And also, if we have any lower tiers on, say we lowered it to like a Tier 1, for example, it would require all the commercial vehicles to stay in the right lane. We also are out doing our anti-icing operations and plowing, and we've been able to bring some of our mobile equipment teams, which we call MET. They come from other counties in our district. We can reallocate our resources. So we have trucks right now from Venango, Mercer, and parts of Crawford County up in Erie trying to assist and cycle through those plow routes more quickly and try to keep up with the heavy snowfall bands that we're seeing.
And one question that I've seen from our viewers in terms of the restrictions is it says when they go into effect, but not when they go out of effect. How does that work? Will you let us know? Is there a time, place? How does that work for our viewers? Where could they go to find that information?
Sure. So the most up-to-date information is always going to be on 511pa.com. You can use the computer or your mobile phone, which it's available both on Google Play and the Apple Store. Available 24/7, completely free to use. But we will make an announcement through our media partners and social media just to announce when those restrictions are ending. So basically, if you see that there are restrictions in place, they are in effect indefinitely until we make the call that they could be either reduced or taken away completely. So right now, as we speak, we still have the Tier 4 on all of I-90 in Pennsylvania, a little stretch of I-86, and then I-79 north from north of Meadville in Crawford County. So just keep an eye on 511, and we'll be sure to put out our messages once those have changed. But as the weather forecast changes, we talk every few hours to see if those need to be adjusted. So we are keeping up to date on them.
And obviously, you guys are advising against any unnecessary travel. If you don't need to be on the road, don't be. But if anybody is on the road right now, what can they do to either help you guys, whether that's people on the road plowing or just to stay safe in general?
Sure. So the most obvious answer is just to slow down. Really give yourself more time than you think you're going to need to get wherever you're going. Like you said, if it's not an essential purpose, we're really advising you just to stay home to allow our drivers to get out and do their jobs and clear off the roadways, but also just for your own safety, because you never know what can happen out there with these winter conditions. They oftentimes are unpredictable. So slow down, increase your following distance too. Don't try to ride right behind a vehicle. You need to give yourself time to react in the event that you do start to slide. And then just be prepared. You could have an emergency preparedness kit in your vehicle with you at all times.
And PennDOT, for anybody who maybe is confused, where are you guys plowing? Can we find your plow routes?
Yes. So 511, again, this is another great plug. If you go on 511, there is an option to select plow trucks. And our trucks have AVL, automated vehicle location systems in them. And we'll show you where the trucks are and where they've been. so you can get an idea of, when they're going to be near your home. I know we try to tell people that it's going to take a couple hours to get through a plow route. Again, it just varies based on the storm, but we are out there and we're going to stay out there until we get the job done. But just be patient, give the drivers the grace that they need to go out there. They have a very tough job, and we're just trying to keep everybody safe. Just one other really good reminder. I know, regardless of your experience level, if you get yourself into a situation where you start to slide, that can be oftentimes pretty unsettling and people might panic. Well, I just want to reiterate, it's important not to panic, and there are some things you can do to get yourself, in a safer position. So let's say you start spinning to the right. The important thing is to not slam on your brakes or hit your accelerator. You want to just make a subtle adjustment to your wheel by turning it the same direction that you're starting to spin, and that'll sort of straighten yourself out. But again, the more that you panic and oversteer and slam on the brakes, the faster you're going to spin, and that could end poorly.